The big news has been going on. I mean, this is one of the cases that I'm actually glad that we do our shows later in the week, because when news first hits, of course, it's going to be the big reaction that people have to it. So the big news that hit was that Batgirl, the film that Warner Brothers was doing for HBO Max, got canceled. So that was kind of big news. Everybody was talking about that. Well, why the hell did Batgirl get canceled? Then you start to see more developing stories kind of come out and get more little bit pieces of the story, and as they slowly start to come out. So actually, in this case, I'm really glad that we didn't react to it immediately. You know what I mean? And we kind of got a chance to digest a lot of other these reactions and responses to the articles and stories that were coming about it, and what was kind of more of the reason why Batgirl got canceled. And that was not the only thing that got canceled. Another movie that got canceled was also the Scoob sequel, which was the sequel to the Scoob movie that came out. That also got canceled as well. This is an article. This is from Deadline. I'm going to be reading this. This article is titled, I'm going to be pulling up on screen a little bit, but what's behind the Batgirl and Scoob discard? David Zaslav's object reaction of Jason Killer's HBO Max strategy. And it's also the two directors of Batgirl, who also did Bad Boys for Life, which I was a very big fan of Bad Boys for Life. I thought they were kind of an interesting pick to do for a Batgirl movie. But they found out, like, one of them was at a wedding, and they just found out, that's, oh yeah, by the way, the movie that you've been working on that was very close to being finished, it was almost getting into post-production stages, that had just been scrapped, that had been canceled. Where do you kind of stand on, because a lot of people also reacting to this as far as, this also sucks really for the people, the cast, the crew that all worked on this movie. Where do you kind of stand on that there?
Yeah, pardon me, y'all. I had to go get another beer because I'm gonna have a lot to say on this shit. So let me,
Take a big gulp there.
yeah. Um, okay. So since I've been doing my show, which has been about 9 years, one of my things I've always lamented and just ranted about is how DC has Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and could never figure their shit out. And it's always fucking bothered me because if you look at the run of dominance that Marvel has had,
Mm.
the only thing that's really close to it is DC's animated uh, success, which goes back to Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Batman Beyond, um, and all of that. Um, but they had a run of animated films that is really unprecedented when you think about it outside of Disney. I mean, whether it's the Wonder Woman film or Green Lantern First Flight or, Aquaman the Throne of Atlantis or Batman Master of the Phantasm. Like it's DC's had an absurd amount of not good, not great, but fucking brilliant animated films when it comes to the comic book realm. Which is why it's even more frustrating when you get something like Man of Steel, who makes Superman such a soulless, joyless, just depressed dude. You can't find shit for Lois Lane to do. Batman is so dark that he can't even like remotely smile. Yes, Batman Under the Red Hood. That's another classic animated Batman film. Um, it bothers me. It really bothers me that Warner Brothers owns this brand because I don't think they fucking care about it. We've talked about Marvel, on the show and all that. And I know,
Mm.
uh, I know a lot of people now are like, oh, Phase 4 might be okay because now we have Wakanda Forever and all this other shit coming out. But one thing you can't say about Marvel is that Kevin Feige doesn't love that brand. And I've never felt like there's anyone at DC who loves DC in the way that Kevin Feige loves Marvel. And that's been one of the biggest problems because no one fucking cares about it. It's just about making money. It's not about fulfilling these characters. One of the things that royally pissed me off was when Ruby Rose left Batwoman. And then they went, well, let's throw a black woman in there. And I'm like, well, this is a sinking fucking ship. You're not going to actually make the show better. But you go, let's put the black woman here front and center and let's see if that can garner some ratings. And it didn't. They canceled it. And everyone's like, oh, see, it's because of the black chick. It's like, no, because the writing fucking sucked. And they didn't understand the goddamn character. But that's such a theme with Warner Brothers with these characters, right? It's as a fan of theirs, it's fucking frustrating because, like, look, I'm wearing a fucking Justice League shirt right
Mm.
here, right now, and I sit there and I read, and it's like, do people even know Superman's a scientist? I don't think people do because Superman's a scientist. He's really fucking smart. Creates like elements and shit in the Fortress of Solitude. Do people know that? No,
Create
and they
his
never
own
fucking
robots.
talk about. Yeah, no one ever brings that up because they're like, oh, Superman's just dumb and he's flies. He's like Jesus. It's like the. You know what? I'm gonna keep that to myself. But like it's one of those things where like there's so much more to Superman. He's really funny. And one of the other things I've always talked about with DC is that they make everything so goddamn dark that everything feels like Batman, and that's an issue because one of the best things about one of the best animated shows I've ever seen in Justice League Unlimited. One of the best things about it is that they're always giving Batman shit for being so goddamn serious. Like, like the Flash, especially. I mean, probably gonna have to recast that role, but but like even Superman and Green Arrow, like give Batman shit. And I'm like, dude, you need to fucking calm down. Like, we will figure this out. Like, there is some levity to the darkness when it comes to DC in that way, and they just have not struck that balance consistently enough. But when they've let directors and they've almost like the more they've been hands off with something like Shazam or like the Suicide Squad, we've gotten that because the Suicide Squad's a dark ass fucking movie. It's violent, it's brutal.
Mm.
There's dicks and shit. Like, it's a dark fucking movie. But James Gunn knows how to balance those heavy character moments with humor, and he does it fucking brilliantly. Shazam is also in that same realm for that. So we know it can be done, but again, something that I've hammered home over and over again on my show is that it never felt like there was a plan. And when I say not a plan, I'm not saying all these films need to be connected. It doesn't need to be the MCU, but a plan of, okay, we're gonna do a Shazam trilogy. The fact that the directors have not even talked about, the directors of Black Adam and Shazam haven't talked about the characters meeting, it's fucking nuts. Like, that's his biggest rival. But let's be real, man. You really think Dwayne Johnson is gonna lose to fucking Zachary Levi? Fuck no, he's not. So I doubt the character would ever fucking meet because there's no way the Rock's ego would actually allow him to lose a fucking fight, let alone to fucking Chuck. So like the fans who think like who are like, oh man, I'd love to see that those two characters interact. Like, hold your fucking breath, y'all. I don't think that's fucking happening, and that sucks a lot because I'm sorry. Do you want to see an X-Men movie or a show where they don't fucking fight Magneto? They should fucking fight Magneto, and it doesn't make sense to me that these like, okay, I will give you a perfect example. Del Toro wanted to do Justice League Dark. That was something that was in production, that was discussed. That should be a fucking layup to let Del Toro do a fucking Justice League Dark film. Yeah, please do that. And they just went, nah, we're good. Matt Ryan, Falcons quarterback, who plays Constantine, uh, he's fucking great. He's been excellent on his own show, which was on NBC, which was a long fucking network. He was great on Legends of Tomorrow. Matt Ryan, he voices Constantine on most of the animated shit.
Right.
Matt Ryan's an incredible fucking actor and has really done incredible things with that fucking character. And it feels like they're shelving him now. And I'm just like, y'all, like, what's the point of these people being loyal to your brand if you're not going to reward them? And
Mm.
let's call a spade a spade. Like, that whole Black Widow controversy, with ScarJo and her pain, all that. People have already forgotten about that. I bring that up to people. People are like, oh, that's right, that was a thing. But these scandals over at Warner Brothers are just they're just hovering over them like those ghosts in the Super Mario world. Like, they just cannot escape these fucking things. Whether it's Ray Fisher and the whole Joss Whedon shit, whether it's Snyder and his insane fucking fan base, whether it's Ezra Miller, choking around the world, like it's always something with them. And And DC just kind of puts their head in the sand and goes, "Oh, we're not going to address it. It's fine." And it's like,
Hmm. Yeah.
here's the thing, and I think you'll know what I mean when I say this. And I will shut up. I promise. Um, the better you are, the more shit you're allowed to get away with. And no matter what you think of Disney and Marvel, they've been consistent as fuck, commercially, financially, and critically. They have been very consistent at worst. DC hasn't been. Like it's been up a couple points, and it just like slam fucking down. And it's really frustrating as a fan because I one of the things I always say on my show, competition is great for all of us. It's
Mhm.
great for us. It's, oh, it got sexier in here.
Hello.
Um,
Yep.
um, uh, it's like competition's great for everyone. That's why I love seeing something like Doom Patrol do well. That's why I see something like Harley Quinn. I go, oh my fucking god! But if I was running a studio and I had those two shows in my library, I'd be talking about them more. I'd be advertising
Mhm.
more. They didn't advertise Shazam at all. They were just like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, Shazam's coming out,
Mhm.
whatever. But and I've actually talked to Nick about this, so you can back me up on it. When
Mhm.
Marvel was like, hey, like we have our, Marvel came out, big old slate. We've got Phase 5, we've got this coming out. We
Mhm.
still have Shot 23. They had logos. They brought out the actors. Like they made an event out of it. DC puts out a press release like, oh yeah, you're getting this soon. Like, where's the fucking passion? Like, be passionate for your fucking fan base. They have stuck with you through a lot of bullshit, and honestly, to the point, probably to the detriment of the brand. But you have loyal fans who've gone like, we're gonna stick with this
Mhm.
fucking, we're gonna stick with y'all, we're gonna ride with y'all, and you just go ahead,
Mhm.
just keep going like, when it comes to what they want and how you're presenting things, and it's really fucking maddening and really a slap in the face. So, with this whole Batgirl thing, to have a movie done basically
Mhm.
outside of VFX, and you think about how people were getting harassed off Twitter for not wanting the Snyder cut to happen, like the optics look bad on this, like just
Mhm.
on that front, and that's before you get to the race, to the clear racism that is factored in too. Like like
Mhm.
this looks bad on Warner Brothers part, and the fact that it's already rumored that Harley Quinn, Supergirl, and Blue Beetle could all be getting the axe, like this is
Yeah.
not the time to be cutting shit that's
So,
gonna like potentially elevate your stock.
so,
Mhm.
hey Nick, going on, and I'm gonna pass it to Nick in a little
Hello.
bit. There's an article here by Hollywood Reporter. So David Zaz, who's the new head honcho over at Warner Brothers, replacing Jason Killer. It seems like the main goal. He's kind of the new sheriff in town. He's the guy that's really
Mhm.
pulling his weight, around with things and going like, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna turn the ship around. I'm gonna fix it." And the main way of fixing it that he sees it is turning it into Marvel. Here you have an article that mentions how they did a call, and he says, this is a quote from a Hollywood Reporter article. He says, "Look at Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. These are brands that are known everywhere in the world." He said during an earnings call Thursday, "We have done a reset. We reconstructed the business where we are going to focus, where there is going to be a team with a 10-year plan just focusing on DC. We believe we can build a much more sustainable business.
Mhm.
DCE has long wished to emulate the success of Disney-owned Marvel Studios, which Kevin Feige has built into the highest-grossing film franchise in history." Zav recently brought Feige's former boss, retired Disney film chief Alan Horn, on as an advisor during the earnings call. Zaslav suggested DC would try to emulate the Marvel playbook. And like you said,
Mhm.
Marvel, as much as people find it, annoying about having these list of projects from here to eternity of, what I mean, you got all this stuff. It does put forth a plan for all these
Yep.
things of like, hey,
Mhm.
what I mean? You can, even though you might not be excited about all the stuff that we have, you would ask a person,
Mhm.
you're excited about some of the stuff. You're excited about maybe Blade. You're excited about maybe Kang. You're
Mhm.
excited about, maybe, these certain things. So it does put forth a plan.
Mhm.
And with the DC stuff, it has been up and down because it's in a weird place where something will spike. Like Wonder Woman was very good. But then you had Wonder Woman 84, which wasn't very good. But then you had, what I
Mhm.
mean? You had, Batman v Superman was also wasn't very good. You had Suicide wasn't very good. But The Suicide was very good, which was James Gunn, but that also didn't
Excellent,
do.
excellent.
But it was a box office failure. So you had that kind of going. That was also going against it. Shazam, very good, but it didn't do all that well in the box office. So it has been this up and down thing. And then you have stuff, the standalone stuff like the Joker movie, which made $1 billion, and the Batman that did very well, Matt Reeves. But those
Yes,
movies aren't
brilliant.
connected to the other part of the DC other universe. And also heard like with the Aquaman sequel, Keaton was also supposed to be in the Aquaman sequel, but then Ben Affleck is also going to be in the Aquaman sequel. So it's like, what's going on with that?
See,
And
yes, exactly, because they don't know what they're doing.
so there was like test screenings of that movie that people said like, wait, why are there two Batmans in this? Like that's confusing. And I'll get to the Batgirl screen test in a minute, the reportings on that, and some of the reasons why it was canceled. But I'm going to toss it over to Nick. Nick, what is your opinion on this? Unless Nick is frozen. Okay, he's frozen right there. All right, I'll let Nick kind of come back when he's not so frozen. Yeah. But the Batgirl. So there was a screen test that they did for Batgirl, which is what you do with the movie to test how it is. Now, it got in the low 60s, which is not uncommon for a movie to get sometimes in the low 60s and still be very good. Like there's some horror movies. Oh, Nick is back. So Nick, if you wanted to kind of give your opinion on kind of this Warner Brothers situation.
No, action.
Uh,
Did,
Right. Can you guys hear me?
yeah,
I was about
we
to
can
say, I was
hear.
like, did a nine,
All right,
did the
cool.
robot from Lost Space join us? I was a little confused.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah. So talking about this, it's just a full of so many contradictions. So their entire like earnings call, their entire like 10-year plan is to build the franchise around the four core Justice Leaguers, or at least the most popular ones: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. They didn't fucking mention Flash, so wink, wink.
Yeah.
So their brilliant first move is to cancel a $90 million film that is done. Principal photography is finished. They just needed to get into post production. That also starred an Afro Latina actress, written by two European Muslim directors, written by Christina Hodson, who has the great working relationship with Warner Brothers. And they're still releasing the $300 million sinkhole where the lead star is become an absolute fucking menace. Great plan, Warner's.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Great fuck.
so this is from the another Hollywood Reporter article mentioned like reasons why the Batgirl movie could have been canceled and everything like that. So it says from a time, according to multiple sources, Warner's considered pumping more money into Batgirl to beef it up and into a
Yeah, my
2023.
phone's cracked. I got a hit.
Okay. To a 2023 theatrical release. Another source downplays the notion that a theatrical upgrade was seriously in contention. As from the script stage, it was conceived as a streaming play. Either way, when a very early version of the film tested screen with temporary VFX and score, it landed a score in the low 60s and is believed to only tested once. Film producers and executives have long noted that test screenings are best used to determine whether audiences are engaged or disengaged during certain parts of the film, not as a final judgment call on the movie. For example, horror films that end up doing well have been known to test in the 60s. Batgirl's test score, which was a director's cut, is comparable to the score of the first It, which was in 2017, which wound up grossing 700 million globally, as well as an early score for the upcoming Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Both of those films tested in the 60s. What is your opinion on that? That it just simply was canceled because they looked at it and went, it's just a bad product, and they just decided to go like, hey, it's just going to be a tax write-off that we're going to do on this $90 million movie.
It's stupid. Like it's just dumb. Like it's so dumb. And whenever people go like, well, because I always point out, of course, the Snyder cut because Snyder's terrible, but also because that was something that probably would actually, let me rephrase that, it wouldn't have seen the light of day if not for the pandemic. But how much money did they spend on Justice League? Like 400 million,
Hmm.
almost. Rumors are maybe 500 million between all that reshoots and all that shit. Like, you're telling me you can't put a $90 million Batgirl film out on HBO Max to at least maybe get some subscribers that way? And Nick in the chat is uh is uh is 1,000% correct. Yeah, they released Fantastic Beasts, which, by the way, I have not seen the latest one, but I remember Crimes of Grindelwald. Grindelwald, was it Grindelwald? Right,
Yeah,
is that one?
yeah.
Um, God damn, you want to talk about an unnecessary sequel? Like, man, I got 20 minutes into that. I went, oh man, this Great Pumpkin's not showing up, is it? Like, this is gonna be a piece of shit, and it's a terrible fucking movie. But yeah, so Warner Brothers and Scoop is actually fun. It's cute. So,
Mm.
like, fuck kids. Let's be real. Kids will watch anything. Like, some kids watch Norm of the fucking North. Like, kids will watch fucking anything. You're telling me
Yeah.
a Scoop movie
I
would
mean,
do well on screen? Like,
yeah, the Scoob sequel getting canceled is kind of interesting because one, I mean, the first movie, I mean, it was successful enough that you thought could get a sequel anyway. So it did well enough, I guess, revenue wise, that it was greenlit for a sequel and preparing to move forward. But it seems like with this guy, he's very much focused on theatrical push. We got to really focus on that. These movies and what movies are going to do well theatrically, not so much the streaming. Because the other CEO, Jason Killer, now that he's gone, Jason Killer's big push was building up HBO Max, building up subscribers for that platform. Which, by the way, HBO Max is going to get merged with Discovery Plus. It's going to be a whole new streaming service in the summer of 2023. It's going to be an entirely new streaming service anyway. And this is from in the article from Deadline. Quote here, it says, much of the decision came down to this. This is in regards to Batgirl and the Scoop movie being canceled. Warner Brothers Discovery boss David Zaslav is rejecting Killer's strategy to lean heavily into building streaming subscriptions for HBO Max that is punctuated by his Project Popcorn initiative that put the entire 2021 theatrical slate, including Dune, Godzilla vs. King Kong, King Richard, The Matrix 4, day and date in theaters and on HBO Max when theater attendance was sparse during the pandemic. Even after he was shown the door, Killer continued to call the strategy a win. Many did not agree, particularly after Top Gun Maverick weighted and grossed north of $1.3 billion. It is decidedly different world from the Killer made the movie. Wall Street no longer is impressed by subscriber numbers as much as profits, as seen by the presumptuous decline of Netflix stock value. Now, in response to this, I will say Top Gun Maverick, it was kind of a perfect storm of a lot of different situations. Dune was never probably going to be a movie that was ever going to be that, because Denis Villeneuve, his movies don't make a lot of money anyway. You look at the track record, and I love Denis Villeneuve. I love his work, but his movies are not box office, smash hits. If you just look at his track record, something like a Will Smith. I mean, this is Will Smith, King Richard, pre-slap Will Smith. Yeah, I guess that could have maybe done better business, if you maybe waited and kind of done that. But again, now that post slap Will Smith, it's like, not so much. But during that period of time, maybe it could have done well in the box office. The Matrix 4, could that have done well if you just simply released it in theaters? Matrix 4 wasn't very good of a movie.
maybe.
Did people really want to see another Matrix movie after the two kind of not so good Matrix sequels?
They're not good.
Yeah. Godzilla versus Kong, maybe that had the potential to be out of all these movies listed, that had probably the biggest potential to be the most box office success.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And that one also, I think didn't that also the sequel to that movie get canceled as well, didn't it?
No, because I think they're doing a show on Apple TV with Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell. Like, so they're doing a
Okay.
monster verse show. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no. Apparently they're keeping that shit going.
Okay. But yeah, out of all these movies, Godzilla versus Kong would probably been the biggest, probably biggest box office thing. But this was also during a time when the pandemic was hot, and you think, well, a lot of people are staying at home, and it was really bolstering the streaming of like, hey, a lot of people are gonna probably would love to watch content more at their home, and I personally love that. I would like to see the numbers during that of HBO Max during that time, during that period, if there was a big spike in subscribers and things like that during when these movies where you had the day and date release of things like Dune and Godzilla and King Richard and the Matrix 4. But what do you, I mean, what do you think about that of them going like, well, Top Gun Maverick waited and that made $1.3 billion, so why is that kind of an excuse there?
It's a total excuse because the thing is, not everything warrants a theatrical experience. And I know people don't want to hear that shit, but it's true. You don't need to go see every goddamn movie in the theater. Okay, especially with the pandemic still going on. I really appreciate that I'm able to watch shit at home. Like I can watch it on my big ass TV, and turn up my sound bar, smoke a bowl, not have to worry about kids throwing shit because that happens way more than you would think. Um, and it's okay to do smaller scale superhero shit, like something like a Super with Rainn Wilson that James Gunn did and Ellen Page. That movie fucking rules. I fucking love Super. That's a
Mm.
small budget superhero film. So you could do Batgirl like I think even like a Nightwing film doesn't need to be $150 million movie. You could do a Nightwing movie for like 90 mil, 100 mil. Blue Beetle falls in that same category, but the the thing that's
And Blue
frustrating is
Beetle
that
is supposed to be only on HBO Max, right?
I think I read it's getting theatrical.
Okay.
I think I did. But I love being able to watch stuff at home. And I'll be real, the pandemic kind of I don't want to say spoiled us because fucking pandemic, but being able to watch something big and like having that theatrical experience at home, it's like, oh my god, I can watch Godzilla vs Kong at home. That's fucking awesome. Like, or I can go see it on see it in a theater if I want to brave the public. Like, I actually like the same day strategy. I wish that was kind of the norm. And if there's a good good thing about the pandemic, it's that the theatrical window has shortened even more, quite a bit. But I think something like Batgirl could have done well just off of Keaton nostalgia alone. I think people would have been curious to see what Keaton does in the movie. You had Brendan Fraser coming back,
Yeah.
playing Firefly, which I really wanted to fucking see. Um, and it's just considering how what giant whores Warner Brothers are for Batman, you would think this would be the one movie that would be guaranteed to get fucking released. It's very odd that something that has Bat in title, they're like, oh, we can't put this out. But then you look at the Flash, where you have someone in Ezra Miller who has just lost their goddamn mind. Um, you
Mm.
can't do what the fuck is that press tour gonna look like for the Flash? Because apparently they're still releasing it. You can't have Ezra Miller do press.
Right.
So,
And the
like,
budget for that Flash movie is
it's like
already what,
200
200
million.
million?
Yeah, it's like
And then
$200 million.
plus you got to
So,
do an extra money for the to remarket the movie again and do the whole big press tour and all that other stuff. That probably
it
bloats it up even
makes
more.
no sense. It makes no sense. And that's why when people are like, oh, I'm racially motivated or anything, I'm like, fuck off. It definitely is. And the fact that Warner Brothers hasn't canceled this already, like, come on, y'all. Like, people are acting like they're gonna cancel the Flash. They're not canceling the Flash. If they waited this long, they're not canceling this fucking movie. But it's crazy that you have a movie that could have, at the very least, recouped its money. Because I think this could have done. I think on the low end, this would have been like he done 300 mil,
The Batgirl
maybe.
movie.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
I
could have
mean,
done 300 mil.
so you think if it's $90 million, what the budget was, then you include the marketing, which is, marketing numbers, how much money they would have spent on it. Let's say, I don't know, let's say they did double, right? Let's say they put another 90 million, 180 million. Could have
Yeah,
made that money back. Could have, so you would have to do double, double your money that you spent on it. So if it's 180 million that you spent on it, so you'd have to do upwards of 360 million to 400 million. Do you think it could have made 400 million?
yeah. I think you could have. I think you could have. You might have had to stretch it with subscription numbers and box office, so you might need a combo for it. But I think you could have gotten there.
Hmm.
I just But this goes back. But dude, this goes back to the whole Snyder shit, man. They gave someone who only deals in like dark movies, who doesn't like writing female characters. They went ahead and gave him the DCEU to start off with, and he fundamentally from jump did not understand what makes Superman so special. Period. So this is already built on a faulty foundation anyway. And
Mm.
so everyone going like, "Oh man, this is so shocking of Warner." I'm like, "Nah, cuz this was built on bullshit anyway." I mean, yeah, like Suicide Squad made them a bunch of money. Does anyone remember anything about the Suicide Squad? The only thing I remember was, Killer Croc wanting to have big booty bitches as his reward, and them shooting Margot Robbie like she didn't have a face. That's all I fucking remember about them. Oh yeah, and Jared Leto's like Cholo Joker, which goddamn Jared Leto. Just stop acting in superhero shit for the love of fuck. Like, can you stop ruining like everything you touch? But this has been a long time coming because they haven't understood what makes these characters special, and they haven't wanted to read any comics or anything to actually fucking care. That's why the best shit that the DC's produced in the last decade has been on CW. Ironically enough, because you look at something like Black Lightning, that's a great fucking show. You look at something like Stargirl, that's a great fucking show. Doom Patrol, which is on HBO Max, that's one
Mm.
of the best comic book shows I've ever seen. Harley Quinn on HBO Max. The new season's fucking great. Um, and the first two seasons are great. But again, they don't have a fucking plan, and they don't goddamn care. And it's insane how they have these incredibly great properties. When Shazam came out, the first thing I thought was, oh, they'll do a partnership with 7-Eleven, because he has the whole scene where he comes out of the gas station drinking a Slurpee. That's
Mm.
easy advertising. That's where my brain went. Not a fucking peep. Did you see any advertising for Shazam? I think I saw
Yeah.
uh, one YouTube like promo, but I was barely seeing the trailer in theaters. I was barely like, dude, you're in Chicago, man. You're around some of the biggest like stores in the world. When a Marvel movie comes out, fucking Hot Topic and like Walmart and Target turn into Marvel Land. It's like, oh my god, Ant Man's
Mm.
everywhere. Like that shit happens every time a Marvel movie. Dude, I saw them advertising Eternals, which no one saw in in Walmart. Like, like Eternals. Like no one knows these fucking characters outside of like comic book readers, but even they were advertising this shit. But Shazam, someone where a kid can literally say a word and turn this to a superhero, you're not gonna advertise that? That's
Mm.
fucking insane. And they keep doing this shit, and it's as a fan, it is maddening at this point that we're on our third. We're getting our third Ant-Man film in what, 6 months?
Yeah.
And we have one Superman film in the last 12 years? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, how is that like, dude? Come on. If let's go back 12 years. If I told you 12 years ago there will be one Superman film in three Ant-Man films, you would look at me like I was high, which I probably would have been at the time. I told you, but but that wouldn't make me less correct. But
Yeah.
the Ant-Man trilogy is gonna exist. One Superman film, like that's all you need to know right there. Like we haven't gotten Wonder Woman 3 yet. Did you see the last Wonder Woman film? It's a very bad movie. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on over there. Like, read
Mm.
comics. It's okay. All right, learn about these fucking characters. Like, it's Shazam is one of my favorite characters DC has, and I love what they're doing with Shazam. Like, I'm so happy they did a sequel. But if you notice, Zachary Levi flat out said, as in terms of about a third one, flat out said, "Huh, we need people to see this," because they're not greenlit for a third, and that's terrifying to me. So he may not even be able to finish out his own stories. So
Mm.
it's just you gotta stick with the plan.
Yeah.
Like, Thor: The Dark World fucking sucks. It's a bad fucking movie. You didn't see Feige go like, all right, well, cool, we're killing Thor off. He's like, all right, cool, let's readjust. And then they did Ragnarok, and that made like 850 million. Like,
Mm.
don't give up on these characters because of just one missed swing. Like, just go back to the drawing board, tweak shit, and go ahead and try again. Like, you don't give up on these characters after one bad miss. And and look, I'll say this as a person of color. It's fucking terrifying whenever they go, we're gonna do, insert minority character here. Because let's be real, if they had fucked up Black Panther, and DC was running it,
Hmm.
do we get a sequel? Probably not. They probably would have gone like, oh, well, we tried. Like, let's shelve the character for 10 years.
Yeah,
How
that's
long
why.
did Green Lantern come out? Like 07, I think.
Yeah,
We still haven't gotten Green Lantern. Like in that amount of time, it's been
and
that
then
long.
there was supposed to be a Green Lantern show, but I haven't heard anything about that. Because like
Exactly.
when they first announced HBO Max, I think they said like, oh yeah, we're gonna do like a Green Lantern show, and we're gonna do another show, and we're gonna do. I think I forgot what other show they named that they were a superhero show that they were gonna do, but yeah, that
Yeah.
has not. I haven't heard anything about that. In regards to like Blue Beetle, it says right here in the Hollywood Reporter article, Blue Beetle was originally developed for HBO Max before being upgraded to a theatrical release. Also, it did okay in December. As soon as Batgirl was shelved, a number of tweets circulated asking the studio to save Blue Beetle. Among those who liked the tweets, Angel Manuel Soto, the film's director, underscoring the uncertainty Warner's talent faces at the time. So you got even, directors of film, not even feeling secure in their own movies.
See, that's horrifying. Like, that's horrifying because the thing is, oh, this brand, like, okay, so look, I've talked about it on the show. Fucking love being right. It's one of my favorite things in the world, especially when it comes to film. It has bummed me out to see what DC's done with their brand. Cause dude, I love so many of these characters. I fucking love Superman. Superman's an amazing fucking character. Green Lantern, John Stewart, is one of my favorite comic book heroes ever, regardless of brand. I fucking love John Stewart. Um, Harley Quinn. When you get Harley Quinn right, like David Ayer was the wrong person to do a Suicide Squad movie. Because the moment I heard Harley Quinn was going to be in it, I was like, oh, he's going to treat her like a whore. That's exactly what the David Ayer does with women. So I wasn't surprised. But but like we get a better version of her in Birds of Prey. We get her in the Suicide Squad, which she's fucking amazing. That speech she gives about red flags is fucking incredible. It's some of the best acting Margot Robbie's ever done. Um, when you actually get someone who gets these characters, they knock it out of the park. The Suicide Squad, as we mentioned. Viola Davis is Amanda Waller. Fucking kicks ass. She's amazing whenever we get to see her.
Mm,
But, uh, but the lack of knowing where they're going is what's hurting them,
mm,
and that's really the key difference. Again, as I said earlier, you don't have to connect everything at all. You do not need to do
no.
that. But if you're gonna do a Shazam trilogy, do a Shazam trilogy. Like, stay the course. Like, have a plan of where you're starting and where you're ending. There's nothing wrong with that. The fact we still haven't heard anything about a Gotham City Sirens movie with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is insane to me.
Yeah, I
So
thought.
does
Didn't she say she was taking a break? Right, Margot Robbie. She's
they,
taking a.
they they said she was taking a break, but dude, you can announce the shit if you're gonna do it in 3 years. Like, give
Yeah.
your fan base a reason to be excited. Like, you don't need to wait until you're filming to go, oh, by the way, it's like, no, like, we're gonna do this in 3 years. Fucking cool. That gives me a reason to get hyped. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, the stuff that's working for them almost feels like it's more of an accident, because I think they definitely were like, we need to do another Suicide Squad movie because Harley Quinn. Oh fuck, we definitely don't trust Ayer to do this shit again. And so, oh cool, let's get the guy who
Yeah.
does who can make a raccoon in a tree fucking emotional. Like, let's get that guy. And he nails the Suicide Squad. I think it's Gunn's best film. Like, I
Mm,
think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is excellent. I think Suicide Squad's right here. Like, it's close, but that Suicide Squad for me is a better film. Um,
yeah. Uh,
but Gunn, but
and
like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, and with that, I mean, stuff that like they from that Suicide Squad movie with James Gunn, they made a Peacemaker spinoff, which was a TV show, which was very good for them. I think. I mean, HBO Max. At least I think so. I think it was very good for them. Critically, ratings wise, I think it did decent enough.
It did great. It did great for them.
So that was very good. So next, I mean, DC slate here. So you have Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom. Uh,
Yeah.
there. Safe to say, I guess that movie's safe because the last Aquaman made $1 billion, so that one I think is pretty safe with Jason Momoa. Ben Affleck is also going to return as Batman in that film. Um,
Yeah.
And then you have Joker, the sequel to that movie. That movie also made $1 billion. The
Oh,
first one. There was much
yeah,
hype about. They did like a little promo of it a little bit on the internet.
yeah.
With him and Joaquin Phoenix is returning, and then also you have the addition of Lady Gaga. Black Adam with The Rock, the movie that he got announced for like 50 years, 50 years ago that he got announced as Black Adam. They're finally
Dude,
coming out.
it feels like 50 years ago that they announced that shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're doing that. Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which is a sequel to the first Shazam movie, which I very much like the first Shazam film
Yep.
myself.
Great shit. Great shit.
And another Wonder Woman movie. It's also up for the slate.
Yeah, I'm less excited about
Yeah.
that after Wonder Woman 84. Like,
Out of kind of all these DC movies, kind of that's on the slate, that's kind of coming out pretty soon. I think the one that is going to maybe not probably do the least is probably, I'd say, Black Adam. I think for some reason, I
yeah,
I think Black Adam is
so
probably not going to do the best. But I don't know.
yeah.
I could be wrong.
So I need to talk about that real quick because League of Super Pets came out. That did worse than Lightyear did. Like Super Pets made nothing. That made like 22 mil like opening weekend. So
Ooh,
that shit's gonna be a flop for DC. Um, like like I saw that and I was like, oof, that's not good. Um, we gotta talk about this, man. Dwayne Johnson's just not that dude anymore. Like I know he used to be like a like a box office guy, and people were like, oh, he's the new Schwarzenegger, and I was kind of like,
how did
he's a little.
Hobbs and Shaw do?
It did good. It didn't do great though. Like for a fast movie, it did underperform. I think it did like 600 mil maybe. Um, but yeah, like like let's be real. Like Rampage, not great, didn't do well. Skyscraper, not great, didn't do well. Um, Johnson's had a lot of these action movies that have just kind of been like, eh. Like if he's not if it doesn't have the word fast or furious in the movie in the title, it may not be a box office hit. So we kind of need to stop talking about Johnson like he's a box office draw because I don't think he is anymore.
Hmm.
And Black Adam, I went when I went and saw Bullets Train last night. I saw it in DFX. So I saw it with a bigger screen.
Hmm.
Yes, I know, Kitty. And so they show the Black Adam trailer, and once it ends, maybe for 3 seconds later, this guy goes boring, and I laughed like the whole theater fucking laughed. I laughed so fucking hard. And the thing about those trailers is that the JSA stuff, the Justice Society of America stuff, that looks great because Pierce Brosnan's Doctor Fate
Yeah,
looks great. Um,
that's what I'm most
Hawkman,
excited about.
but see, that's the issue. You shouldn't be that excited for other shit outside the main character. Like that's not a good song. Like I think I'll dig JSA stuff. Like I'm really excited for JSA stuff. But as far as Black Adam, oh, okay, I'll put it to you like this. You've seen Peacemaker. That scene where oh, was it not is it not Heart of Pain? Is it Heart of Pain? They play where they show him that he killed that person when he was a kid. Hall of Pain, I think is what it is. But
Okay.
you know that song. That where Cena's on the ground crying and after he smoked and all that shit. Do you think Dwayne Johnson could do that?
Hmm.
I don't think so, because I don't think he has the ability to make himself be vulnerable. And even in the Black Adam trailer, where he's like, my son sacrificed himself to save me, and I went, did he though? Because I don't think you care if he did or not, if he did or
Well, you see
not,
him over
man.
his dead body, trying to let out a
Dude,
yell or something.
not a tear, not a tear, not a yell, just like, yeah, man. I don't think he has that ability because I don't think he's willing to make himself look weak in front of the audience. Like I'll say it like that. I know that's gonna come across harsh to people, but I just don't think he has that emotion to actually go to that place of vulnerability like someone like Cena does, because I think it's so much about his brand now. I've said it on my show before. I think he's the Simone Will Smith. I don't think he wants to look weak anymore. I think he's such a big strong man. House of Pain. Thank you, Nick. I don't think he wants to make himself look weak in front of anybody, and I think that will always hold him back as an actor until he wants to go ahead, and that's why Pain and Gain works so well because Michael Bay actually kind of broke him down a little bit. But if you notice, he hasn't done anything remotely that intense since then. So
Mm.
I don't think he'll ever want to be seen like in that light again. Which again, that sucks because that will take him places, that he probably wants to go as an actor. But um, yeah, Black Adam just looks very generic, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Uh, yeah. I mean, that would be my pick if I had to say which one would perform maybe the worst. I mean, I don't know. Flash has a huge budget. I mean, it would almost have to probably make close to like 800 million to a billion to be
they
successful.
probably because Nick I think said the budget was 300 mil now, and if that's the case, then holy fuck, they
Yeah.
really
Uh,
they need that. Let's be real, man. I think the ceiling on that movie. I think the ceiling's 600 mil. I don't think it'll even sniff. I don't even think it'll sniff 600 mil.
I
To be
don't know.
honest, I think that movie's gonna crash and burn, man. And honestly, it should. Um,
Yeah.
I know Warner Brothers doesn't want to spend more money, but dude, at this point, I think you need to bring the actors back, or just
Reshoot.
you can't. Dude, I would reshoot at this point.
Well,
I
I
would
mean,
straight up.
could they do that thing like they did in Army of the Dead, like digitally just take
I
them out?
mean, maybe, but honestly, I think here's why I say reshoot. I think you would show your fan base that you have the respect and the loyalty, and you're willing to invest in one of your top characters by actually reshooting it. I
Mm.
think that would actually, for the morale of the fan base, I think would really actually make people go, "Oh, shit, okay." Um, they they won't do that. Straight up, they won't do that. But they should do that. If it was me, I would do that. But yeah, man, I will specifically play. I will specifically use one of my Cinemark credits when I go see the Flash movie because I don't want to give it my money. I just it
Mm.
bothers me that it's gonna get a theatrical release. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Uh.
don't think it's gonna make money, man. I think people are gonna like because I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it because comic book movie. But dude, what's that press tour look like? Who do you have answer those questions? Because you know they're gonna be there. You know
Mm.
someone's gonna go, "Where's Ezra?" or "How's it working with Ezra?" or "Was he disruptive on set?" Like you know you're gonna hear that shit the
Yeah.
whole press circuit. Like
Can't even focus on the movie. Yeah. Uh.
exactly, because dude, by day three, you would be over that shit. Let alone a month long press tour. Like there may not be a press tour for it. Like I would not be surprised they just put out, you know, TV spots here and there. You know, reach out to Hot Topic and be like, please sell these shirts. Not with the Flash, just with the logo. Like I think that's exactly what they're gonna do, and maybe not even do press because I don't think you can with this movie.
Yeah. In response to I made a mistake about the whole Keaton Affleck thing because there was that thing that Jason Momoa revealed that Ben Affleck was on set to come back as Batman. So I guess that the thing is that he's replacing Keaton, who was originally supposed to be in Aquaman 2 as the Batman, which wouldn't have really made sense anyway because it's supposed to be like another like it's Jason Momoa Aquaman is from Ben Affleck's universe as Batman. So I was like, but how does that make sense? Like Ben Affleck aged 20 years since Jason Momoa last saw him. I mean, I don't know. Like, why would you have
Right.
Keaton
I
in? But okay. But yeah.
who cares?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I don't know if they're saying like let's just go back to ground zero again. Let's nuke everything. Let's go back to ground zero. I guess. You know. But yeah, we'll
But
see.
why? But that's the thing. Like, why didn't you have a plan before? And I know people are gonna be like, "Burn it down." That's awesome. And I'm like, no. They've had multiple times to right the ship. Like, why should I be excited now? And dude, we've talked about it, man. Like, we are just talking about with Prey. Like, if that came out in theaters, does that make 300 million? Probably not. Maybe it does. Who knows? But not
Yeah.
everything needs to be seen theatrically. Like there should be stuff that's like gives people reason to turn to HBO Max. Like dude, we just talked about you guys just talked about Miss Marvel. Like Miss Marvel is an excellent fucking show. I fucking dug the hell out of Miss Marvel. Do I need to see that on a giant theater screen? No. I'm happy I can watch that at home.
Yeah.
Being able to watch it, if anything, that makes it more accessible to your fan base if you have it on your streaming service. That's not a bad thing to not have the
Yeah.
theatrical experience. That's not bad. And I don't know, man. I feel bad for DC fans, and I am a DC fan. Like I prefer Marvel, but I am a DC fan, and I feel bad that they've had this level of inconsistency, this level of people who just kind of look at their characters, shrug, and go whatever.
Mm.
I really wish the brand would get bought out at this point. I really wish Amazon would just buy DC straight up,
Mm.
because I think Amazon, especially if you get people who are working on the boys to handle the shit, since they're all comic book nerds, I'd let them handle DC.
Well,
I think they
Amazon, they spent all their money on Lord of the Rings. They already got their money spent.
Dude, yeah, okay. So not to make that a whole thing, that's coming out next month, and I feel like people just don't give a shit.
Mm.
Like, is that just me? Like, I'm not a big Lord of the Rings guy.
I think people give a shit, but not in the way you would want them to give a shit. I think it's gonna get huge the first episode because people maybe want to talk shit about it or something like that. But we'll see because it has to do pretty well. But yeah, to wrap up the Warner Brothers stuff, yeah, we'll see everything that's kind of going on with them, and if there's any updates or developments. Am I disappointed that the Batgirl movie got canceled? I am disappointed. I would have wanted to see it. I mean, I didn't even see a trailer for it. We didn't even get to see a trailer. And they, were far from being finished. They were just about to go into post production of it. Because the director of it, let's see here, this is from the article here. He says, let me go back to it real quick. He says, "We are saddened and shocked by the news." The filmmakers wrote in a statement Wednesday, as directors, "It is critical that our work be shown to audiences, and while the film was far from finished, we wish that fans all over the world would have that opportunity to see and embrace the final film themselves. Maybe one day they will." Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, people say, like, well, it's good it got canceled because it probably would have sucked anyway. I don't know. I mean, they released Morbius. I mean, Sony did Morbius. I mean, that movie sucked.
Yeah, by the way, if you have that opinion, fuck off. I'm so sick of hearing that fucking opinion. Jonah Hex is on HBO Max. Shut the fuck up. Like, give me that shit. Like, that opinion pissed me off. Because, yeah, Morbius came out. It was released fucking twice. You think Batgirl is going to be worse than Morbius?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have kind of a hard time believing that, but I don't know.
There's no way it could have been worse.
Yeah, because it says, I mean, even this is from Deadline that, as part of the article, it says there's been much speculation on why Batgirl was canceled, having to do with it being a bad movie. Sources said that the film tested once and the result wasn't that bad, considering that the cut had temporary visual effects intended to audience enthusiasm and the scores, which was similar to the Hollywood Reporter article mentioned that Batgirl tested at low 60s, which isn't necessarily bad that it tested at low 60s. It's stuff that does test that and do well. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I hope nothing else gets canceled. I hope Blue Beetle doesn't get canceled. I really want to see Blue Beetle. The set photos. Hey, it's got a very comic accurate suit, which looks awesome. I love the lead actor that's playing Blue Beetle, the guy from Cobra Kai, who he's awesome. So yeah, I hope it does. All right, we're gonna
don't cancel anything else. Don't cancel Harley Quinn. Don't cancel Peacemaker. Like just leave everything else. Please, for the love of God, just leave everything else. Let everything else breathe. It'll be okay.
All right, that was Warner Brothers.